Welcome to ECN Trade Daily Video. Before we begin, it should be noted that any advice is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration.
Hello everyone, my name is Rob Clayton and thank you for joining me. Well, following two bearish engulfing candles for the Australian dollar, the market bulls staged a strong comeback as fresh US inflation data signalled easing price pressure. The greenback slipped from 101.58 near the key top level around 102 figure, that is resistance, and settled at 100.70 after the April CPI rose by 2.3% year on year, down from 2.4% in March, and below forecast, signaling easing inflation pressure. Core CPI held steady at 2.8%, with both headlines and core readings up by 0.2% month on month, showing inflation remains somewhat sticky. Nevertheless, the Australian dollar still looks like it can be a little bit on the weaker side due to the fact that the technicals are somewhat mixed with the MACD. Nevertheless, all eyes will be on next week's RBA rate decision, with markets continuing to price in a 25 base point rate cut on May the 20th, though calls for a deeper easing have moderated, while up to 125 base points for a cut are expected over the next year. However, don't be surprised if we find that we may get a 50 base point cut next week. However, that really remains seen in terms of a surprise or just keep to a 25 base point. The euro on the market was a little bit firmer. As I mentioned, the US slipped overnight following a softer inflation data. When we turn to the technicals, we can see the market is still somewhat negative, so I'm still not ruling out the fact that we could see the market slip back towards the region of the lows of 111, and with the base still holding around 109.4060 until we get these technicals really to firm up like we previously see here. That was back in March, and the rally came to a halt around the 115 area. I would like to reinforce this view from the technicals before upside to the targets that have been breaking above 114. Also looking ahead, focus will be on the Fed speakers on Wednesday with Chair Powell scheduled for Thursday. Any dovish remarks could reinforce rate cut expectations and put additional pressure on the US dollar. So do keep an eye out for Fed Chair Powell on Thursday. The dollar yen, the market's still somewhat mixed, even though it did break above this downtrend. If we do see a break beneath this key level, which is at 146.6080, then there could be a further weaker play coming back in and look towards the downside target around 144, and still not dismissing the region of 140. However, since the break, it was a strong candle and holding above 146.6080, we should not rule out the fact that challenges towards 147.5 to 148 are still on the cards. A good rally for sterling as well, but the technicals are still somewhat mixed. I can't at present get too bullish, given the fact that the RSI is sitting on the midway point and the MACD is negative, and therefore could easily see a return back to the downside as deep as 129.40 to 70. That is a big call, but we do need to see a break of 132.60 to support the bearish case, and there is still a bit of a cap here around the region of 133.90 to 134.65. The technicals are still heavy for gold as the market still looks to potential slide, that is to 3,200, or even with the broader call somewhere around 3,130 to 60 where this base is. And the reason behind that is the RSI is still somewhat heavy and married up to the MACD, which will likely limit any upside potential in the short term. And wrapping up with oil, well, the rally overnight came to nearly at $64, but now pulling back slightly. I do feel there could be a little bit of profit taking coming into play here that may see a pullback towards the region around 62 to around 61.60. But a break above 63.5 or around 64.45 could lead for the rally that may see to $66 a barrel. But let's see how the breaks first to the upside to support that. Unless we do see that break, then as I mentioned, a pullback could be, or profit taking to 61.60. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining me. And as always, look out for the intraday report, and I hope you enjoy the great start to the day.